Welcome to the Restricted Handling Daily Intel Brief. This is what's been going on in Iran and the Middle East in the past 24 hours. We're going straight to the issue at the center of the Middle East: control of the Strait of Hormuz. Iran is no longer treating the strait as just a shipping lane. Tehran sees it as the war's main bargaining chip and possibly the prize that matters most. Senior officials frame control of Hormuz as a question of sovereignty, regime survival, and post-war status. Mohsen Rezaei, a senior advisor and former IRGC commander, said the passage is more important than dozens of atomic bombs. Iran wants any final settlement to recognize its authority over vessel routing, permits, and maritime administration. Washington rejects that claim and says Hormuz remains an international waterway. But press statements are not settling this argument. Ship captains, insurers, and energy traders are. Traffic has fallen sharply. Some vessels are sitting at anchor. Others are using so-called dark routes with transponders switched off. The U.S. says the strait is open. Commercial behavior says it is open in the most technical sense, like a restaurant with the lights on and smoke coming from the kitchen. The diplomatic framework meant to calm this down is coming apart. The 14-point U.S.-Iran memorandum signed in mid-June created a 60-day negotiating window. It was supposed to restore shipping, reduce fighting, and create space for nuclear and sanctions talks. Instead, both sides walked away with different versions of what it meant. Iran believes the language gave it a formal role in managing the strait. U.S. officials say Tehran understood that ships could use the southern corridor near Oman without Iranian permission. President Trump says the ceasefire is over, while leaving the door open to talks. Iran says it will stop honoring its commitments whenever Washington fails to meet its own. That is diplomacy with the safety rails removed. Oman tried to bridge the gap on Saturday. Muscat proposed two routes. The southern lane through Omani waters would allow unrestricted passage. The northern lane near Iran would require Tehran's approval, but carry no tolls. Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi could not secure approval and took the proposal back to Tehran. Iranian officials then accused the U.S. of pressuring Oman. Oman and Qatar are among the few governments still able to carry messages between Washington and Tehran. Iran's decision to strike facilities connected to U.S. forces in both countries raises the cost of mediation. Tehran is telling Gulf states that neutral ground disappears when they support navigation arrangements across. Iran opposes. This exposes a persistent weakness in the U.S. regional posture. American operations depend on host nations that want U.S. protection but do not want to become targets. Saudi Arabia reportedly refused access to its airspace during an escort effort in May, helping end that operation in less than 48 hours. The Pentagon shifted to radio guidance and limited air cover near Oman. Iran wants every Gulf capital asking how much risk comes with helping Washington keep the waterway open. The economic leverage is already visible. Before the war, about 1/5 of global oil and liquefied natural gas shipments moved through Hormuz. Brent crude climbed above $79 a barrel on Monday. Europe is exposed because years of refinery closures have increased dependence on imported jet fuel, although officials say supplies remain stable for now. For Trump, higher gasoline prices are a domestic political problem before the November congressional elections. Iran understands that pressure in Hormuz travels quickly to American gas stations and European airports. The tactical picture matters mainly because of what it says about strategic control. After the Cyprus-flagged GFS Galaxy was disabled near Oman and one Indian crew member went missing, U.S. Central Command struck roughly 140 Iranian targets and reported more than 300 strikes over 3 nights. Iran retaliated across several Gulf states. Some incoming threats were intercepted, and some facilities were damaged. The larger point is that U.S. strikes have hurt Iranian coastal systems without removing Tehran's ability to create enough danger to slow commercial shipping. Now to the intelligence story that sounds like someone handed John le Carré a streaming budget and told him subtlety was optional. Israel reportedly spent years cultivating former Iranian President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad as a possible intelligence asset and future leader. The effort included meetings in Budapest, disguised as climate conferences in 2024 and 2025. Then Mossad Director David Barnea reportedly met Ahmadinejad personally, and Israel allegedly supported his travel and housing. On February 28th, after an Israeli strike hit Ahmadinejad's compound, Mossad operatives reportedly moved him in a black Peugeot to a safe house inside Iran. Then the plan unraveled. Ahmadinejad left the safe house under unclear circumstances. He later appeared briefly at Ali Khamenei's funeral and is now reportedly under house arrest by the IRGC's intelligence wing. A parallel Israeli plan to train Iranian Kurdish opposition forces in northern Iraq and move them into western Iran also failed to materialize. The significance extends well beyond one extraordinary recruitment operation. Ahmadinejad retained a working-class base, resented Iran's ruling establishment, and reportedly believed he could return with foreign backing. He compared his potential role to Boris Yeltsin and discussed recognizing Israel and joining the Abraham Accords. Tehran can now use the exposed plot to justify a broad counterintelligence sweep. Former officials, opposition networks, foreign travel, and elite rivalries will all draw closer scrutiny. Israel is also heading toward a national election on October 27th, under growing pressure. Polling cited in the reporting suggests Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's coalition could lose its majority, although the opposition lacks a clear route to power. His security credentials were badly damaged by the October 7th attack, and dissatisfaction over the Iran war adds more uncertainty. Pressure is building over the occupied West Bank as well. European Union foreign ministers are considering import licensing, prohibitive tariffs, or a ban on goods from Israeli settlements. No decision is imminent because the 27-member bloc remains divided. Still, settler violence is moving from human rights debate into trade policy. That issue landed directly in U.S. politics after Representative Ro Khanna said armed settlers carrying M4 rifles stopped his delegation near Zanuta, and that Israeli soldiers helped detain the group. The Israeli military disputed his account. Khanna accused the IDF of lying and demanded an investigation. Israel's ambassador in Washington called the visit politically motivated. The episode gives Netanyahu's critics a vivid example of how West Bank security practices can create friction with mainstream American lawmakers. Thanks for listening. Go enjoy the rest of your day before the geopolitical situation gets worse again. For the full written brief, it's restrictedhandling.substack.com. We'll see you in the next one.